Hey everybody, this is Dr. Kalanicki. I'm going to go over a quick lesson with you on percents in an equation. For those of you who have lab today, you're going to do the first row of the the first column of the tic-tac-toe board. And for those of you who don't have lab, I will see you on Monday to work on deck toys and the column on the tic-tac-toe board. So, percents of an equation, key idea, the percent equation. In words, it's to represent A is P% of W, and I use it as an equation. So where A represents part of the whole, P represents the percent in fraction or decimal form, and the whole, or W, represents the whole. So I'm going to again rewrite that, and I want you to rewrite it as well. A is the part, P is the percent, times the whole. And again, label these with the nice arrows and label them with the words part, percent, and whole. A equals P times W. So in this example, A is 15, the whole is 30, and this percent, let's see if we can change that, a little refresher from yesterday. If I have 0 and 5/10, what percent would that be? What percent would that be? I want to change this into a percent. And if you need to, go back and look at your notes from yesterday. All right, any answers? If you're not sure, pause it. I'll give you some more time. Final answer is 50%. Did you get it right? Good. I'm going to go over some of this stuff. All right. Some other stuff to take a look at is some keywords and what operation goes with those words. So if I see the word of, that means to multiply. So if you look at this example, it says P% of W. So that's why the of is signifying multiplication. Is means equals, A equals. What percent or what number, that's going to be our variable or our unknown. We're going to call that X when we don't know it. And obviously percent means the percent symbol. So let's go over a couple examples of these. There are 3 types. I could look for the part, I could look for the percent, or I could look for the whole. So let's underline some keywords and stick with me, and I'll show you how easy it is to do this. So this question says 20% of 150 is what number? So I know that I have the percent. I have that one. Check. Check. Another keyword that when we're talking about of is percent of 150. So this right here, percent of, that of is telling me that I also have the whole, which means I am looking for the part in this problem. So I'm going to set up my percent equation, write it with me. A equals PW, or P times W, but remember, when 2 variables are next to each other, that means multiplying. Now I'm going to write my equation. So this is going to say A equals, now 20%. I want to change 20% to become a decimal or a fraction. So it's up to you how you want to do it. You could read it as 20% or 20 out of 100. Most of the time, if it's a multiple choice question, you're probably going to see it as a decimal. So I would highly recommend changing it into a decimal. So 20% is 0.20 or 20 hundredths. And then my whole is going to go in here. Notice I'm using parentheses to show multiplication. You should do that as well. Got my calculator out, and I'm doing 20 hundredths times 150, and my final answer is 30. So easy peasy, plug in the percent, plug in the whole number, and multiply. Now, they get a little trickier depending on what I'm looking for. The next one says 35%. So again, I know it's pretty obvious I have the percent. Of what number is 35? So that is 35. Is that equals? So equals 35, which means that is part is the part, which means I'm looking for the whole number in this case. I don't have my whole. I have my percent, I have my part, I don't have the whole. Let's go back for a second. I just want to add the words is and of in here, just so that you know that sometimes when you see the word is, that's talking about the part. And when you're talking about the of, they're talking about multiplying that whole times the percent. So add those two words in, is and of. Those will help you set up the percent equation. Good? Okay, we're going back. So now I'm going to set up this equation. This one is going to say, this time, the part I have, so that's 35. 35 is 35%. So again, changing that percent to a decimal should be really easy for you, just 0.35. And then the whole is what I don't have, so I'm going to call that x. Okay, now that I have that set up, I have to solve it because x is here, and I can't just do operations with these two numbers. So I am going to actually have to divide on both sides by 35 hundredths. Showing your work on both sides. This guy crosses out. I'm left with 35 divided by 35 hundredths. My final answer is going to be 100. So 35 out of 100 makes 35%. Makes sense. And the final type of questions is I'm going to end up looking for the missing piece that I haven't found yet. So what percent of 300, so there's my of, that's my whole, is 51. That is part is my part, which means in this question I'm actually looking for the percent. I don't have it. It's very obvious I don't have it because there's no number in here that has a percent sign. Okay, so now I'm going to set up this equation, except this time the p will have no number in it, and we'll have a variable. So part is the is, that's 51, equals p, which I don't have, so I'm going to call it x, times 300. Now I don't like how that's written, so I'm going to rewrite it as 300x. Because usually when we see this, we see the variable behind the coefficient. Now I'm going to solve this by dividing both sides by what? 300, good. Ooh, sorry for my terrible handwriting. And my final answer is going to end up being a decimal. 51 divided by 300. I get this decimal. Ooh, yikes. Let's try that again. Terrible handwriting on this today. I'll do it in type. I get this answer. Now, the only thing you have to worry about with this answer is this is not a percent, obviously. It says what percent. So my final step is, just like I've done here, to take these decimals and put them back into a percent. So because I use the decimal in this formula, I'm going to have to take it out by changing it back into a percent. So by doing that, I'm moving my decimal point over 2 spots to the right, and my final answer is going to be 17, and it has to have a percent sign to be correct. So 17% is my final answer here. So these are the 3 types. What you're going to be doing on the next page on the back is you're going to be going over the different types. I would highly recommend underlining or highlighting any of this information and using the formula like this, A equals PW, and while you're going through the problem, I want you to see, is there a percent? Oh yeah, there is, so I'm going to put a check on top of that. What is the of 150? That's the whole. I'm going to check off of that. So I know that I have A is going to be my missing number, so I'm going to call that X. And you're going to go through each problem and do that, and then set them up and solve them. And there's a couple more down here. And if you'd like, or the sub would like, you guys can work on them in partners. I hope you have a great day. If you're doing lab, I hope you have a great time doing it. Good luck, have fun, and I will see you all on Monday. Bye.